Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We are going searching for Dogman. Researcher, former law enforcement officer Bruce Brown is going to be here tonight, and we are going to have an entertaining and interesting show. So sit back and relax. But first, we need to say hello to each and every one of you, including Eternity Eternal in the gold medal position. Kitty Caddywhack with a silver. Connie Waldrep taking home her first bronze medal ever. And let's kick it off here. Thunderhead, how you doing, brother? Michael Morris, the attorney at large. Nice to see you. T-Bone, my man, thank you for coming on in. Mel WD-40 is here, lubing us up for tonight's show because you cannot talk Dogman without being nice and lubed, just in case he attacks. He'll slip right off. Mel, don't forget to give yourself a little shot as well, okay? Race fan, how you doing? As we continue on with our roll call, there's Road Flair and Robert Lamoth. Gear Jammers, how you doing? Mama Catherine, there's my lady. Mwah. I love you, my dear. I hope you had a great day. Stay safe from that smoke. Okay, that's Canadian smoke. It's not as bad as the American smoke, but you just stay safe, okay? All right, and our smoke will at least say, I'm sorry. It's true. It's very true. And for all our American listeners, seriously, our men and women are doing a good job trying to get those forest fires out and give them, the smoke is unfortunately a horrible, horrible part of it, but stay safe and stay inside where the air is clean if you can. Moving on down, Frankie B, how you doing? Nice to see you. Desert Rat is here. Desert Rat will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Jaquetta, nice to have you. Trucker Andrew, thanks for coming on in. As we continue on with our roll call tonight, we scroll on down to say hello to Luscious Jules. How are you, my dear? And who is next on our list? It's, who is that? Mima Flowers. I love it. Welcome to SOR Chat. Mima Flowers. I love that name. Chris Irvin, how you doing? Nice to see you. As we continue on with our roll call, there's Fat Nuts. How you doing, buddy? Nice to see you. Well, not really, but I have to be polite. Moving on. Moving on down, we say hello next to Flubber Lane and Stephanie Kenny Blankenship. Kurt M., what's up, my man? Thanks for coming on in. As we continue on with our roll call, hi there, Mickey G. Mr. Cowley is here. Mr. Cowley will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Undead Jed, thanks for coming on in. Millennium, my man, how you doing, brother? And Werewolf, good to see you. We scroll on down a little bit more, and we have number 19 in your program tonight, starting at center ice from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. There he is. Moving on, and Aussie Boss Tiger, how are you? Dunzel, thanks for coming on in. The lovely and talented Candace Helfrich, Shane Gord, nice to see you both here. And Laura Elizabeth, how are you tonight, my dear? Hope you're having a good night as we continue on with our roll call. And up next, thanks, Fap. Brett Von Owen, how you doing? You're Dutch. Just want to remind you. Moving on, we have Evan Walters. Hasn't even started yet, and you're pissing me off here. Good job. T-Bone, my man, thank you for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you very, very much. Here we go. Let's get the radio side going, shall we? Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Finding Dogman. Bruce Brown is here. He's an experiencer, an eyewitness. He's a former police officer, and now he hunts Dogman full time. We're going to get into that momentarily. We are at roll call on our YouTube side, so just bear with us. Caps, how you doing tonight? Welcome as we continue on with our roll call, and I believe we are caught up. Oh, no, there's two shadows. I missed two shadows. Special emissary, how are you tonight? Thank you for coming on in. Lolo, welcome back. And did I miss anybody else? Oh, it's lovely Candace with a nice super chat, too. Thank you, Candace. We love you here. And do me a favor, everybody. It's that time of the night, high flat 6, to throw your horns up. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin in the woods. We're together, my friends. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Caribou Con. We want to see you all up here September 18th through 20th for Caribou Con, a great paranormal conference, the only one in British Columbia in 2026. Get your tickets at cariboucon.com. We're going searching in Tennessee for Dogman tonight. Bruce Brown is going to be here for the next couple of hours to talk about his findings and his experiences with this werewolf-like creature. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller kicks things off with Grant Baker and the UFO report. Dr. Phil, big time into UFOs. We're going to learn all about that and more next in hour 3. All right, time for a great show, and it starts right now. Bruce Brown is a retired Tennessee law enforcement officer whose career spanned decades in public service, including roles as a patrolman, deputy sheriff, patrol sergeant, detective, chief of narcotics, and other leadership positions. Throughout his time in law enforcement, Bruce responded to reports involving unexplained creatures, including Bigfoot and Dogman sightings, giving him firsthand insight into how these extraordinary cases were documented, investigated, and in some instances quietly handled behind the scenes. His unique background allows him to approach these encounters with a trained eye of an investigator while drawing on years of experience separating fact from fiction. Bruce's own experience with the mysterious began while hunting, when he observed what he believes was a dogman from behind a tree stand. A few years later, while searching for wild ginseng, he had an even more intense face-to-face encounter with a dogman. We're going to learn all about this. I'm going to skip the rest of the bio because this is just way too good. Bruce Brown, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. How are you?
Good. Thank y'all for having me.
Okay, you're hunting and you're minding your own business, probably waiting for a nice buck deer to come around, maybe a hog, whatever you're hunting for, and all of a sudden something that shouldn't exist comes around. What happened there? Tell me the story.
I had went into the tree stand on opening morning of gun season, which is in November, cold weather. I climbed up in my tree stand, waiting for daylight. Daylight finally come around, and we had a good, clear, sunny, cold day. To my right, across the field, a couple of 100 yards, I've seen what I thought was a dog running towards me. The closer it got, the bigger it got. I realized it wasn't a dog. A dog's not that big. Then my next thought was a wolf, but there hadn't been any wolves in that part of the country in 150 years. As it got closer, I raised my rifle up and looked through the scope at it, and it was clearly not a wolf. It's something like that I had never seen before. And then when it got to about 25 yards from me, it stopped and looked right at me. I was looking through the scope at it, not sure what it was, so I wouldn't shoot it. And then it took off running, but it galloped like a horse. So this thing was about 8 foot long with a tail about 2/3 the length of its body. So the body was 12 foot long. The tail was a good 7 to 8 feet long. So that sort of messed with my head just for a minute till I could figure out what was going on. I had a hunting rifle. I wasn't real worried about it or scared with it. I just was trying to comprehend what I just seen. It had the back legs of a dog, but the front legs and upper body as a human. It had a short snout dog's head with red eyes. So I decided I'd just sit still in the stand for a couple hours before I come down, not knowing what I was dealing with. And when I come down from the stand a couple hours later, I had my backpack with me and lowered my gun down, lowered my backpack down, got down on the ground and went behind the tree that my stand was in, and my truck was parked on my farm on a little side road there, and I headed towards my truck. Well, just right in behind my stand was a wet spot. And in that wet spot was a massive footprints. And in my backpack, I carried beanie weenies, just snack items. And I had a paper dinner plate. I had nothing to measure this track with. So I used this dinner plate, standard 12-inch dinner plate. And the dinner plate was about a half an inch to an inch bigger than the track itself. So that unnerved me because that told me it circled behind me without me knowing it. And it was within 25 feet of me, meaning 25 feet of my stand. And I never seen it when it circled back behind me. So I left from there and thought a lot about it. Realized that at that time they wasn't called dogmen, they were called werewolves. I actually thought I seen a werewolf.
Do you think at that time, Bruce, that it was hunting you?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my.
Yes. Yes, I didn't have any doubt when I come out of the tree stand. I decided to stay in there a couple hours after I seen it because this was not natural. This is nothing that you see in the woods that's natural. Nothing that it wasn't a wolf, wasn't a dog, part human, part dog. You just you sit there and you think about it, and and you realize I don't need to come down just yet, because when it went over the hill there, it was going pretty fast at a gallop, so it could run back up on me really quick if I come down the stand. But unbeknownst to me, it already had circled me and was standing in that wet spot and watching me at my back. If I had come down the tree quicker, I'd have walked right into it. And of course, as hunters, we all know to unload our guns and stuff when we lower them down with our rope to the ground. We never lower or raise a loaded gun up in the tree stand. You wait to get in the stand before you load your gun. When you lower your gun back down with a rope, you unload it. At that time, I wasn't carrying a sidearm, so that was the only protection I had. So after a couple of hours, when I come down from the stand that was facing the field, I went behind the tree to where my truck was parked, the other side of the woods there. And just right behind the tree was a low spot we call a wet weather spring. And that's when I walked right up on its tracks, and I loaded my gun back immediately. Stayed still there for a few minutes, observed the tracks. Well, the whole time I had my head on a swivel, looking around. And but I never seen it. It didn't show itself again. And I waited for over a year before I even went back to that stand. I hunted other places, and didn't go back to the stand there. I thought it'd be too dangerous.
Couple questions for you. How far was your vehicle from your stand? Like, how far did you have to be on pins and needles?
You're talking, I couldn't see the vehicle, so you're talking 175 yards.
Oh my.
Yeah.
That had to be the longest 15, 20-minute walk, if that you ever took.
Well, it was a 2-hour walk because it was stopping, looking with my eyes, and then using my scope to look through the trees, the brush and stuff before I would make any more steps. So I wanted to make sure that I had a chance, if it come out, to get around off.
And were you alone?
Yes, I was alone.
Gosh. Oh my gosh. That makes it even more terrifying. Did you feel that when you were walking back to your vehicle that the creature was there, but you just couldn't see it?
Yes, you get that gut feeling that something's watching you. You knew it was there somewhere. And that's the reason why it took me so long to get back to my truck, was because I didn't want to make any mistakes. Most people would have took off running, which would have been a bad thing to do.
Right.
That's kicks in the natural instinct of an animal to attack when you run. So I talked out loud. I made as much noise as I could, and gradually, over a 2-hour period, made it back to my truck. And of course, when I got in the truck and started the truck up sitting there, I felt a lot more safer. And then I started trying to process what I'd just seen. And
how long did it take you before you got out of there? Like, what was that moment? You get in your truck, you probably still have your gun loaded right beside you, and here you are just sitting there, probably having an emotional, body reaction from the anxiety.
Yes. I had when I got in the truck, I'd rolled my truck down, and it was real busting cold outside. And I'd laid my gun barrel just a few inches across my lap with the barrel sticking out of the truck, and started the truck up and let the truck warm up just for a minute before I pulled off. And I pulled off slowly, watching for it. I had no intentions of shooting it when I was in the stand, but after it stalked me without me knowing it, then I become on high alert. I was prepared to shoot it if I seen it again.
Had you ever heard of a creature like this in your forest?
Yes, yes. The older people in the community, the Appalachian community, instead of calling them werewolves or dogmen, they called them lions because they had a heavy mane around their neck, and they considered that an omen of bad luck, and not to talk about it for 3 days. And after 1 o'clock in the evening, it wouldn't come true. So they considered it sickness and death.
Holy cow. Were there any tracks around your vehicle had it made it that far?
No, no. And the reason why I say no is because I didn't bother to look. It very would have, could have been, but I didn't bother to look. I was driving in an old Jeep CJ10, quad track, extra big Jeep pickup truck, and I just didn't feel comfortable walking around it and looking for tracks at that time.
Yeah, you had to get the heck out of there.
Right, right.
You had to get the heck out of there. I mean, you must have felt lucky that you survived that.
Yeah, I did. Lucky. Sometimes I even thought there for a year or so I was stupid for not taking the shot at 25 yards on it. Had I known that it was going to circle me and hunt me, I would have shot it when it come within 25 yards of me and spotted me.
That 175-yard walk that took you almost 2 hours to do.
Right.
Could you hear it moving around you, or was it one of those moments where the forest was immediately silent?
Everything was silent. It was cold. Generally, that even though it's cold like that, you'll hear blue jays. You'll hear crows off in the distance. It was just eerily quiet, like you were in another dimension. It just nothing was right. Nothing felt right. The hair on the back of your neck stood up. The hair on your arms were standing up. Nothing. Everything about your gut was telling you something's bad wrong.
Oh, man. Now, pardon me for asking, because usually I don't like to ask these questions. How old were you when this happened?
I had been 20, 21 years old.
So you had you joined the police force at that point?
Yeah, I was I started out as an auxiliary officer for Sheriff Abston in Putnam County, Tennessee, when I was 15 years old. And at that time, I had run a business. I had a cattle farm when I was 20, 21 years old. And so I went into part-time officer and done that for a little while. But yes, I was very familiar with guns. I received my master pistol marksmanship. I received my SWAT sniper certificates, and then later received my SWAT commander certificates.
As a former law enforcement officer, you have an unimaginable sense of what is right and what is going on. You probably, because you were a detective, an officer, and worked in so many years in the law enforcement agency, I'm sure you've been there, done that, seen it all, and had to deal with it. When you're dealing with this type of creature, how do you stay focused, considering that it's something that literally should not exist, yet here you are?
Well, in a law enforcement capacity, we have procedures we go through. and we don't think about it. We act without thinking. We're trained to do that. We make split-second decisions that can take juries months to figure out and come up with the same conclusion. So we're highly trained. We see a lot of things that the public doesn't see, from paranormal to cryptids, and we all have policies and procedures that we have to go by these things when we deal with them, whether it be somebody on the road hit one, say hit a Bigfoot, then generally we're the first there. We assess the situation. We do the incident and accident reports, and then we have a policy police procedure book that has the numbers in it to government agencies, federal agencies. We contact the top of the number under the federal flag, and then we tell them what we got, and then they'll send what agency is particular to that particular case. It comes from that agencies is made up of about 50 different agencies from the SAD, Special Assignment Division. Special Assignment Division covers FBI, CIA, several different agencies. And then for what we got, if we got a dog man that's got a vest and a tracking collar, then we'll get the military. Generally, in the state of Tennessee, we'll get a Coast Guard colonel or the admiral, even though we don't have oceans here. Or we'll get 101st Airborne out of Fort Campbell, Clarksville area, Fort Campbell, Kentucky. When it comes to a dog man, generally those will have vests on and spikes, those dog men.
So they have
And they have
dog teams, is what you're saying.
Yes, just specifically for that. And it does to where the situation where the dog man may have attacked someone or may have been escaping and got hit by a car. And that particular agency specializes in certain aspects of what the incident and accident was.
See, I was told by an RCMP officer a number of years ago that when it came to UFO sightings up here, that they take a UFO sighting much more seriously than we think. And
Yes.
like you could literally have a guy, racing through town after robbing a bank. But if there's a UFO close encounter with a UFO, the UFO sighting takes priority because it's national security.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll never forget that officer. I said, "Can I ask you a stupid question?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "What's the protocol for the RCMP regarding UFOs?" And he goes, "Boy, did you ask the right guy that question." And then he takes a deep breath and he goes, "In the air or on the ground?" I said, "Both." And he went on to explain how they are told to immediately get there, cordon off the area, but that call, the minute it comes in and goes to the staff sergeant's desk, staff sergeant has to deal with it immediately by calling HQ in Ottawa, who calls NORAD to try and scramble the closest jet fighters to the area, try and intercept.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So you're familiar with that, but on an American level.
Right. And on the Canadian level, they also do the same policy procedure we do. They'll scramble jets, but those jet engines can turn up straight up and down and land like a helicopter. So it's according to what suburban area, city, or far out in the countryside is how quick the response is. And if it's in a suburban area or in a city, the response is going to be extremely quick. They're going to load the creature.
Hold that thought. We're going to go to
Alright.
break here at the bottom of the hour. Former law enforcement officer, current Dogman investigator, Bruce Brown is with us. Incredible experiences with hunting werewolves and dogmen. The awesome Jessica Jones says, "Hi, Bruce."
Hey, tell her I said hi too.
Oh, she's
a good one. She's a good one. That's my bestie right there.
Oh, I love her. I absolutely love her. I do. Chaz Mataz, how you doing? That was a powerful first start there, Bruce. I didn't expect that story right off the bat, but bingo. Holy cow. That's like hitting an ace on your first part 3 of the round.
Well, tell it like it is and like I see it and like I had to do it.
Nice. I love it. I love it. I was literally getting harassed to get you on the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. People are like, you got to have Bruce Brown. You need to have Bruce Brown. Why haven't you had Bruce Brown on yet? Oh, look at my neighbor. Well, she's not really my neighbor, but close to my neighbor. Danielle with a nice super chat there. Thank you, Danielle. Danielle is also the first one to order a Caribou Con hoodie. Yeah. She hit the pre-order. And if you come to Caribou Con, you can meet Danielle because she's awesome. Dr. Bob, how you doing? Yeah, Caribou Con is going to be a blast. You all need to be here. Book your travel plans. I've only been telling you about it for about 8 months. Have your travel plans already booked out. All right, we got about 3 minutes here, buddy.
All righty.
And don't forget, if you haven't already, give us a thumbs up. If you're watching on the YouTube side, it really helps with our algorithms. And if you're listening in on the podcast side, don't forget to rate this show and Spaced Out Radio in general and hit the follow button. We'd appreciate it. We would. And let's see here. I'll be going out to my spot on Saturday night. Can't wait. 2 nights. 2 nights. I'm always excited when our trail cam catches, and I'm wondering if the squirrel is going to steal my stuff again. This damn squirrel steals 5 items from my gifting site. Okay. And then proceeds to carry them right in front, stops in front of my trail camera to show me that he took it. Little bastard. Yeah. Cool part is on our last trail cams, we had some there were 6 late teenagers. They walked right by my trail cam. The one girl was probably within 2 feet of it. Didn't even see it. Love it. Love when that happens. Mark Wolf, how you doing, man? Nice to see you. We got about a minute here. Thank you to Danielle, Candace, and T-Bone, my man, for the great super chats. We really appreciate your love and support. Thank you to everybody who's given us a thumbs up. and hit subscribe tonight. We just cracked 30,200 on the YouTube side. 30,200. I want to hit 50. Hopefully by the end of the year. I know we probably won't. It's a lofty goal, but I'd love to hit 50,000 by the end of the year. I don't know why. It just seems like a fun number. It does. We got about 27 seconds. All right. 22 seconds. Using the blue lube tonight. Good job, Mel. Good job. Lube us up, buddy. Keep lubing. All right, 5 seconds. Hi, Hillbilly Herb. How you doing? Here we go. All right, we're to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Talking Dogman with Bruce Brown, former police officer, now spends his time looking for werewolves in Tennessee. But first, we want to remind all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Bruce Brown, you are a guy who has had a lot of intense scenarios happen with Dogman. You're a professional researcher. You're a professional investigator after a couple of decades as a police officer and a detective. I mean, when you first started getting on the trail of Dogman, how did it differ from, say, hunting down people?
There's not really a big difference, other than you go into the woods. After you're in the woods for a few days, you got to make sure you're in Dogman territory. And then you look for the obvious signs. Then after they get used to you, they tend to show themselves more. And then you have great interactions. Some of them can be a little bit hairy. Some of them can be just downright nice interactions. Of ginseng hunting in Pickett, Pinterest County, Tennessee. And I was coming around the mountainside there, and extremely high mountains there, probably a mile to the bottom of the hollers. And as I was coming around right below a mountain, there's a bluff there, and there was a dogman standing there with glowing red eyes, massive creature. He seen me, I seen him. We somewhat locked eyes, but neither one of us looked each other in the eyes. He jumped down off of that bluff and circled wide of me. I eased him behind a poplar tree, and when he come around that poplar tree at a distance, 30 yards or 40 yards, his red eyes turned to an amber gold. So I had went down the creek, the bottom of the hill, went over a couple ridges, and started up the mountainside. And when I got up so far up, I thought I was hid. Well, here he comes down the creek branch on all fours. He gets directly in front of me, and I'm hid, but he raises up on two legs, looks at me, and he makes a scream. I dart behind another tree to hide, and when I step out to look around the tree at him, He's up on two legs and he's coming up the mountainside walking on his back legs.
Oh my.
So I decided I needed to get to the top of the mountain. And when I come out behind the tree, I made the mistake of looking directly at his eyes, and he let out a low pitch sound, then went high. And that low sound was below my decimal level. So I was zapped before I even heard a sound. So my muscles locked up. I started having an allergic reaction where I couldn't breathe. Food around there, stumbling around. He was still coming up at me on two legs. Now he's coming straight up. He's not on all fours. This is a very steep hillside. So I said, well, if I can get to the old logging road about halfway up the mountain, there's saplings and trees and old dead logs. If I can get there, I can make it to the top of the hill. And the farmer there had just cut in the hay a few days before, and this was September. And so the hay length of the hay wasn't over 4 inches after he cut it and baled it. So I got into the middle of this big field, this pitchy 75-acre hay field, and I stayed in the middle of that field to give me advantage. If this dog man come out, he would have to cross that field to get to me. So I was wearing a pair of law enforcement forestry pants. And inside that, I had a gun zipped in a pocket. And then you unzip that pocket, there's another gun. That gun is zipped inside the second pocket. And these breeches and my shirt and light jacket are fireproof. So I decided to get in the center of the field to where I could see all the way around, and I would have more than ample enough time to try to stop this dog man if he come after me, because I didn't know his intentions. He did zap me. He did make me sick. So I stayed in the field, the middle of the field. I got to my vehicle. When I got into my vehicle, I always put my keys under a towel in the front seat. So as I was reaching under that towel to get my keys and pull them out, and just as I stuck them in the ignition to turn the ignition to start it, now keep in mind I didn't see this dog man across this field. I had this tremendous hit on the side of my driver's side of the vehicle. And when I looked up, by then the car was started instantly. When I looked up, I seen this massive hand, just massive hand on my front windshield, another one on the driver's windshield, but more on my mirror coming down. He ripped my mirror off, and my car on the driver's front side started pushing down, and then my windshield started cracking and coming in.
Oh my God.
So by then I was in reverse. So I had to get turned around, and when I come out on the road, and what I mean by road, it was a creek gravel / red clay road. And then when I come through out and touched the road, he had jumped on my car.
What?
So I was able to sling him off within just a few yards, and I went straight home. And by this time it was 3:30, 4 o'clock. And then when I come out of that little road where I slung him off, I hit the state highway and went all the way to my home. And then I got home. I took a shower, got me a bite to eat, made me a pot of coffee, and was sitting there contemplating on what just happened. Did I provoke it? I'm just trying to figure out what was going on. By then it was probably 9 or 9:15 at night. I'd been home for maybe 3 or 4 hours, and I'm sitting in my recliner, and I've got this mountain cur slash spice dog. He's a fantastic squirrel dog. He's not scared of nothing. I could sick him on a train and he would jump on it. And I'm sitting there, and in my living room at my recliner, I can see anybody that pulls in my driveway. Well, my dog went to throwing a fit, but I didn't see anybody pull in, and I just got up and said, well, somebody got by me and I didn't see it. So I walked to the back door where he was at barking. I flipped my porch light open. I opened my screen door and then my big door and then pushed my screen door open, and he run between my legs and went in the house, which is not something he does. He's a tough dog. He's not uh, totally out of character for his behavior. So I went and I get a brighter light thinking somebody's out there. I'm not getting enough light off my porch light. So I shine it around out there. Nothing. I don't see anything. Well, I go back in the house and the dog's wanting back out. So this time I took him, he was in the living room, and I took him and opened the front door and let him out the front door. And I had sat back down in my recliner, going over being zapped and how I felt. And I still had that sick feeling about me. So the dog cut a shine like something was killing him in the front yard. So I reached over in behind the couch and I had my shotgun, and I kept my bullets in the nightstand next to my lazy boy recliner. So I walked out there on the front porch. Front porch light was bright enough, and there's a dog man standing on two legs, and he's buckskin colored on one side, so I know it's the same dog man that jumped on my vehicle. He had followed me home 18 miles home.
Oh my.
So the dog, when I had opened the door to step out, the dog had run into me and about tripped me. And so when I stepped out there, the dog man didn't show me his teeth. He didn't growl at me, didn't make any aggressive moves. And I had a shotgun shooting number 8 bird shot, dove shot. So I just shot the gun up in the air, and he took off. He went across my garden and went in the woods. And I was, well, that was a little unnerving. This same thing followed me 18 miles home. Well,
How in the hell would it know that?
and he, when I got to sit back down in the chair and thinking about it, well, I stopped behind buses. That was the time of the year, time of the day that schools were letting out. So I'd stop behind 2 or 3 buses. Traffic was on the state road, heavy traffic. And I just couldn't figure out how he followed me home with no one else seeing him. You know, I was waiting for it to come out in the paper the next day or people talking about it, but nobody talked about it. Well, the dog was in the house when he run in and about knocked me down. And when I shot, that dog man took off. And I sat back in my recliner, and I noticed my dog was going from through my house to each wall in each bedroom. And then when he got to my bedroom, my north-facing window, he started growling and whining at the same time, backing up and sitting down. Well, when I walked into the bedroom, he stood up and made a couple steps towards the window, but then he started backing up and growling again, showing all of his teeth. And then he went to my east facing window and done the same thing. And I'm going like, well, this has got to be the dog, man. I thought I run him off, but I didn't. So I got my shotgun, loaded it up again, and it wasn't a bright thing to do, but I didn't know what else to do. I eased out the back door to where my bedroom window was. When I cut the corner of the house, he was leaned up on top of the house on two legs with his front feet or hands on the gutter. So he was a good 8.5 foot tall to my
Holy
gutter.
cow.
So again, I knew it was him because he had that buckskin side. So he was about 12 feet from me. So I shot him with a shotgun in the side, and he come down on all fours and he took off running. And then I walked around the front of the house with a bright light, didn't see him. So I went back in the back door. But keep in mind, the dog had run back in between my legs again, and he was in the house. He's not a house dog. You couldn't keep him in the house if you wanted to. So within 45 minutes, I let him back out the back door, and everything stayed quiet the rest of that night. Well, that unnerved me enough to where I didn't think it was a good idea that I go to sleep. So I sat up in my recliner listening, and by this time I'd had my shotgun loaded, and I'd had a high-powered rifle and two pistols laying on my stand next to my recliner. Everything stayed quiet the next night. I got up after daylight, out of my recliner after daylight. I made me a pot of coffee. I walked out on the front porch, and we have a rocker glider. And I sat there on the rocker glider drinking my coffee, and I heard a coyote scream. And then I heard this dogman holler, his call, his scream. I was like, well, I didn't get rid of him. So with the sun coming up from the east, shining west, I crossed over my garden into a big strip of woods that's about 5 miles long. And I got behind a big tree on the Sightings side, which would have been the west side of the tree, and sat there a few minutes, and I seen him in the top of a tree. He was curled up in the top of the tree like he was hid. So I walked back to the house. I got my hunting rifle, 243, and I had just bought a fresh box of shells probably 3 days before that. So I put 3 rounds, it held 3 rounds in the gun, and I stuck the box of shells in my back pocket. I walked down to another tree to where I thought I could get a better view on him. And so I started shooting at him and shooting the branches and stuff out. Well, he come running down the tree, and about 15 to 18 feet from the ground, he leaped and run a few yards and started up another tree. Well, I put a round right above his head into the tree, and bark flew everywhere. He come back down and hit my spring branch. My spring branch, from where I could sit, I could see a good 75 yards through the spring branch going through the holler. So I just started shooting at him and shooting the mud and the water and the gravel around him. And then I would reload and move down further. And I pushed him across 3 ridges and 2 steep hollers. And I've never seen that one since. And
Here he was trying to
he
be
was
friends and have a coffee with you, and you're like, I don't want any part of that.
right. Right. And then I got into another very strange situation. I had a extremely wide, what I thought was a deer trail, but there were no tracks in this trail. And as I was coming across the point, I seen this little fur ball coming down a grapevine.
Mm-hmm.
So I walk up to it, and it's clearly some kind of dog. This is a long ways. This is the middle of nowhere for a dog puppy to be stranded. So as he's coming down the grapevine, uh, I had some gloves in my pocket. Instead of putting it on, I just put one glove in front of my hand, and I reached up there in front of its face. Well, he never tried to bite it or anything. He was just chilled. He was just calm. So he come down low enough where I could reach and get him with both hands, and I picked him up and set him in my lap. And he was missing his tail. I don't know if it got bit off or in an accident or something. He had a bloody nub. And I set him in my lap there, sitting there talking to him. And he wasn't friendly, but he wasn't aggressive. So I raised his upper lip up, and he had, keep in mind, this pup weighed about 15 pounds. He had 3-inch fangs that hung out the outer side of his mouth. So I raised his mouth completely open. On the lowers teeth, he had a 3-inch fangs that fit into a pocket right behind the top fangs. I thought, well, this is really strange. So he didn't have any hair on him. He was a fuzz ball. So I pulled the fuzz out around his eyes, and he had crystal clear eyes like clear marbles. There was no pupils. There was no anything in those eyes, no blood veins, nothing. It was just like you could see into his skull. So sitting in his lap, I thought, well, maybe he's blind. Well, I put my hand in front of his face. He could follow me fine. So I set him down on the trail, and I noticed that his elbow and his hand touched the trail at the same time, but the back end of him was normal, like a canine, like a dog. So I examined him, his hands and stuff, and he had hands like a human being. Some people call it raccoon hands, but his was exceptionally large. He had fingernails like a human, and I just was in disbelief for what I was seeing. I didn't know exactly what I was seeing. I assumed it was a dog man, but I wasn't 100% sure. And then I realized after playing with it for a few minutes and rolling it over and checking it out, hey, there's got to be a mama around here somewhere. This thing is healthy. I mean, he's not starving, other than he's missing a tail and he's bloody. So I went to put him back up on the vine, and he has, where our fingernails are rounded off, his was completely flat. When I put him on the vine, these flat fingernails retracted out and hung to the vine, and he just slowly, like a tortoise, went right up the vine. So I decided I would go on down a couple of hollers and cross a ridge or two and put in the points and put some distance between me and him, because I knew there had to be a mother there somewhere. And I got into another spot down there and was hid. And I started up the mountain a good mile from where I had encountered him. And I had started up that mountain, and I had sat down on a flat rock. And hear this thing, I heard it scream. Now, it's like a mountain lion scream and a high-pitched wolf scream. So I knew exactly what it was. It was a Dogman.
And you think
So
it
it
was this baby's mama.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, I
What I-
want to continue this story of you finding a baby Dogman, because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. I don't know about you, audience, but I am blown away by Bruce Brown right now. I got goosebumps. Do you? Continues right after this. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, Bruce, we got about 5.5 minutes, okay? So we're going to just play a quick video, okay? We'll be right back.
All righty.
Our merch is Bigfoot approved. We have t-shirts, we have mugs, we have hoodies, we have socks, we have hats, we have stickers, and so much more. Whatever you're looking for, we have you covered. Why just be a fan of the paranormal when you can buy Spaced Out Radio merch and look the part? Our merch ain't ugly, folks. Check out the Spaced Out Radio store. Find the link in the description below.
Lurking within the forested region of the 108-mile ranch, where the worlds of the normal and paranormal collide. CaribouCon is waiting for you, bringing together a panel of renowned experts in the paranormal, cryptid research, and UFO phenomena fields. Get ready for a spine-tingling weekend in the heart of British Columbia. Enjoy fascinating discussions, presentations, tours of local haunted areas, and skywatching. Learn from investigators, authors, and enthusiasts who explore everything from ghost hunting techniques to sightings of Sasquatch and beyond. Whether you're a seasoned paranormal researcher or just love a good spooky story, this is your chance to connect with fellow enthusiasts in one of BC's most mysterious areas. Tickets are on sale now. Grab yours before they're gone. Visit cariboucon.com for details, tickets, and updates.
Are you ready to dive into the weird and wonderful world of cryptids, cartoons, and chaos? Meet Dirty Filth, Spaced Out Radio's resident cartoonist and master of the mysterious. Every Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific, join him live on the Spaced Out Radio YouTube channel for Cryptid Cartoons with Dirty Filth, a hilarious hour where he sketches bizarre beasts, shares mind-bending stories, and battles his mischievous cats. Whether you're a UFO enthusiast, paranormal fan, or just love quirky art, Dirty Filth filters the universe through his unique lens, creating cartoons that capture the strange, dark, and supernatural. Follow Dirty Filth on X at Filth1 or Facebook at Dear Filth for more filthy fun. Find his link in the description below.
Spaced Out Radio wants to hear from you. We love our community, and your voice truly matters. Drop a comment after every show and let us know what you thought. Agree with our guests? Tell us why. Disagree? We want to hear that too. We read every single comment. Jump into the live chat during the broadcast and be part of the conversation in real time. Got a killer topic idea? Your suggestions help shape the show. And if you want to take it even further, join our Patreon for bonus content and direct feedback opportunities with Dave and the team. This is your show as much as it is ours. Whether you're a longtime listener or brand new, we want your thoughts, your questions, and your ideas. and let's keep building this incredible community together. Spaced Out Radio, where the conversation never ends. What are you waiting for? We're listening.
With 5 explorable Gold Rush-era buildings said to be home to spirits of a time forgotten, the 108-mile heritage site in the heart of BC's Caribou region offers a unique opportunity for thrill seekers and history buffs. For an evening of historical fun, step into our guided ghost tours, where spine-chilling stories of Gold Rush legends and unexplained encounters come alive. For those craving even more, inquire with us about conducting a hands-on paranormal investigation of your own. And if you're truly brave, book our haunted sleepovers. Spend the night at our B&B inside the McNeil House to truly experience this historical landmark and its ghostly secrets firsthand. For booking or inquiries, go to haunted108.com.
I'll be right there. Here I am. I'm getting in. Oh, where'd Bruce go? Where did Bruce go? Bruce, where'd you go? Bruce. He like disappeared. Hope he didn't get booted. Here comes hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We greatly appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network, our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Fantasticate. Fantasticate is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's bring in former law enforcement officer, now a man who spends his life looking for creatures like Dogman and Bigfoot. Bruce Brown, it is so good to have you on Spaced Out Radio. I'm still blown away by this child Dogman that you found and you touched and you held. What did it feel like?
It felt, it was warm, fuzzy. It was a real soft puppy. After examining, realizing that the mother was there somewhere, I decided to put him back on the grapevine, let him get up high enough to where he was safe. And then I headed back down the hollers and went a pretty good ways. I'm gonna say a good 3/4 of a mile to a mile, and heard the scream. I knew it was her. I knew it was a Dogman. I didn't know it was exactly her. And so I hid on a flat rock there, and she come down the creek pretty good distance, and I stay hid. But when she was on all fours coming down the creek, but when she got even with me, she raised up and looked directly at me.
Oh,
And
no.
I just couldn't figure out why, how she knew I was there. So after thinking about it for just a split second, I realized that I left my scent on the Dogman puppy.
Oh,
And I figured that's how she tracked me. So I knowed I had to make it to the top of the hill. When I got almost to the top of the hill, there was a very heavily used four-wheeler ATV track just the other side of a fence. So I got up there to the fence. I crossed the fence. It was about a 3 to 4 foot woven wire fence with 2 strands of barbed wire on top of it. I got across it. The old logging road had been used so much it was clear. It was good walking. So I was walking up there and looking back. I seen her come up to the fence. And she stepped across that fence like me and you would step across a toy in the floor. This was a massive creature. So I knew that I needed to do something. So I retrieved my weapon from inside my forestry pants and fired around into the ground, hoping it would back her up, turn her around, scare her off. Well, it didn't. She kept coming. Well, this particular area I was at, right above me, was some saplings and some briars and an old homestead and an old barn. So I knew if I could get into that old homestead, even though there weren't any windows left in it or doors hanging, I went into it and got into a corner where I could watch both doors coming into this bedroom and a window. So I stayed in there for about 45 minutes, gun at full drawn, doing what we call slicing the pie, which is a terminology we use to look around corners with our handguns. Nothing happened. The birds went back to chirping. Everything went back to normal about 45, 50 minutes. Well, this old house, homestead house, had a door to the side of the house, on the outside on one side of it, but no door. When I stepped out, there she was standing in a briar thicket and sapling thicket, looking straight at me. So I bared to the left and made it back to that road and started back. I knew my truck was a quarter of a mile or better, half a mile or so, might even been a mile. It just wasn't registering in my head at that time. And she stayed to the right of me in this thicket of briars, honeysuckles, and saplings that were 12 or 14 foot tall. And as I was walking up through there, she kept pace with me, but she stayed just to the right of me, just a few feet. Sometimes we got as close as 4 or 5 feet. Well, I wouldn't look her in the eye because I didn't want to be zapped. And she was producing an extremely bright red eyes. So I was looking down and looking over at her from the chin down, looking down, kept talking, walk 4 or 5 feet, stop, talk out loud. She'd stop, watch me. Well, when I got to the bottom of this hill, just over this hill was my truck. Pretty sure my truck was sitting right just the other side of that hill. And I'm in this ATV four-wheeler trail. And as I take off to start walking again, I'm looking down and looking over at her lower half without looking in her eyes. But then all of a sudden, I seen these 2 laser dots on my chest, about half the size of a bottom of a coffee cup. And then when she moved her head, they moved. So that unnerved me for a minute. I didn't know if I was dealing with a supernatural dogman or if I was dealing with an asset. So I made my way up to the top of the hill, and by this time she had stepped out on the road and stayed a good 15 to 20 feet behind me. And I kept talking. When I would stop, she would stop. But she kept those laser dots on me. And then when I got to my vehicle, I got in, laid the gun in the passenger seat, and I knew I had to keep my calm about me and back out of there without wrecking, but do it responsibly. If I wreck, there's no getting out. So I got turned around, and when I got turned around, she jumped on top of my car also.
Oh my.
Well, I'm like, here we go again. What am I going to do? Am I going to have to, and I had laid my pistol over in the passenger seat. Am I going to have to stick this pistol to the roof of my car and just start shooting? Well, I come out, we went around a curve, and again, it was a crushy run gravel road that time. And I got up a little speed, and we was going around to make a left-hand turn into a curve, and I just pulled the e-brake on the car. That time I was driving the car instead of the truck, and I slung her off. So to keep from driving straight home, I drove from Pentrance County into Kentucky to Burkesville, Kentucky. From Burkesville, Kentucky, I drove to Tompkinsville, Kentucky, stopped at a service station, got me a cup of coffee, and sat there 20 or 30 minutes. Then I left there and went to Gamel, Kentucky, got me another cup of coffee and went in there and talked to the people there. They had some tables and stayed there watching. Then I left there and crossed back into Tennessee, into Red Bowling Springs, and went into the Red Bowling Springs market downtown and got me a coffee and a little snack out of the deli. And I knowed the people there, so I talked to them a good 30 to 45 minutes. And then I got back in my vehicle and then made 2 different turns on the way home to make sure I wasn't followed back home again. So just out of precaution, I didn't want to go through that again.
Why do you keep going into the forest alone, Bruce?
It's just something. If I take somebody, it generally takes them a week or 2 before they get to see something. And when I go, where I go so much, they're used to me. Same way with Bigfoot. They'll step out. Same way with Dogman, they'll step out. But when I take somebody with me, it's just like I have to start all over again because I've got to gain their trust, and the people that's with me has to gain their trust because they just don't want to show themselves. So I have better encounters when I go by myself.
A lot of people would say, Bruce, you're absolutely nuts for doing that. I mean, these are creatures that, I could see you doing that in a Bigfoot area, but a Dogman area, is it to the point now where I'm going to use the term, it's an addiction for you?
It's an adrenaline rush. It's just like when I was a police officer getting into shootouts and stuff. You get this tremendous adrenaline rush, and it's an adrenaline rush. After the rush is over with, you've got cotton mouth. You drank a gallon of water. It's just an adrenaline rush for me. And then through that, I was able to gain quite a bit of respect for these things, and not a way that I wanted to hurt them, but I wanted to be friends with them. And I have no bad encounters with a dog man that actually tried to hurt me, other than the one that jumped on my vehicle, the one that followed me home. He really didn't do anything to warrant me killing him. So there was no bad interdictions except for the one at the deer stand that circled me. So I don't perceive them as a threat. Now, with that being said, I may go out tomorrow and I might get eaten, but so far I've had good encounters.
Do you feel safe when you're in their territory?
Yes, I do.
See,
I do.
I can fully comprehend our guest tonight, Bruce Brown, investigator of the Dogman and Sasquatch species. I can understand exactly what you mean by wanting to be friends with them. Like that doesn't sound weird to me at all, because I am in my Bigfoot area that I go to. I feel the exact same way. Like I want to have that close encounter to the point where and I'll be honest with you, I don't know if I would survive it. And I'm not saying that the creature would attack me, but just adrenaline, heart attack, or whatever. And I hate to speak like that, but I really don't know. But I would love to have that close encounter with one of these creatures. And when I say close encounter, like within 20 feet. Within 20 feet, I would love to be able to just look at one and have it look at me and just say, thank you for allowing me this immense opportunity. Like, I don't know why, but that's how I feel about it. And it sounds the exact same way with you with these creatures.
Right. And the Sasquatch encounters I've had down on the Cumberland River, the females run the clans. They run the clans. I've become very good friends with them. If I take somebody with me, it generally takes about 2 weeks every day going before they'll come out and show themselves, because they're not real trustworthy. We're their enemy. They don't trust us. When we bring somebody new with us, it takes a while to gain that trust back.
Yes.
For that to accept that person that you brought with you. And I've had some fantastic encounters with Sasquatch. I like to mess with them sometimes. I'm a prankster too, and they are too. I went out on the Cumberland River. We had a drought the first of the year. I had an extremely long gravel bar, and I went out without letting everybody know what I was doing, I took my fishing pole and my bucket, and I had my blue speaker in the bucket, and I made a couple calls. I walked way out on this gravel bar in the middle of the river. There's no way a Bigfoot's going to slip up on me. I sat down on my bucket. I've got my fishing pole. I brought me one little old box of chicken livers and baited my hook up and throwed it out there. I made a couple calls. Hour and something went by, no response. But I'm catching some catfish. I'm catching, 2 to 3 pound catfish, 1.5, 2.5, 3 pound, just the right eating size, good tasting fish. And I'm sitting there and forgot about why I was even supposed to be there to start with, because I'm catching fish, I'm having fun.
True.
And no Bigfoot's answering me. So all of a sudden, just in a split instance, it's like wrecking a four-wheeler or something. It happened so quick. Me and the bucket went in the river.
Oh no.
So I've got a Coleman lantern light on my head, and it's got 3 buttons. One is a dim button, one's a strobe button, and one's a bright button. I accidentally hit it twice coming up out of the water, and it was a big male hairy man, Sasquatch, and he had walked up that gravel bar, and I never heard him, but he just give me that sideways look as don't mess with me, and turned around and walked off. And I never heard him when he walked off. I just watched him. So when I got ready to leave, I cut my cell phone on and recorded, and I couldn't walk out of there without sounding like a stumbling poo. Everybody around could hear me walking across the gravel bar. But these things are so smooth, they can slip right up on you when you least expect it. And that was the second time I was thrown. The first time I was in the Granville community of Tennessee on a gravel bar, and the woods were just 25 to 35 feet behind me, a cedar thicket. And I had made a call, and Ron Moorhead done warned me about making certain calls. Well, I was bored. I wanted to see, I really never had a really bad encounter, but with one rogue Bigfoot. So I wanted to see what I could steer up just out of curiosity. And one come out of the woods unbeknownst to me. Instead of grabbing me and throwing me in the water, he caught me by the shoulder with his body weight and knocked me into the water.
Oh my goodness.
So I got my composure back on that, and he went on around the bank and went back into the woods. But as far as the dogmen go, to give you an instance on how people don't know how to take it if they never dealt with them, we went up to a farmer friend of mine who owns some land backed up to Standing Stone State Park here in Tennessee.
Right.
The Overton County, Jackson County line. And he had a couple old dogs, and another guy had a couple young dogs, and we were going to train them coon hunting dogs. So we go back in there, and we turn the dogs loose. And in just a few minutes, the dogs come running by us. They passed us up. Well, we didn't know what to think of that.
Yeah.
Then we heard some screams and some growls, and it was dogmen. Well, we had a dogman in front of us, a dogman to the left of us, another dogman to the right of us, and we weren't for sure, but we thought we had 4 dogmen. Well, they didn't know what dogmen were. And so I said, well, let's each one of us get to our backs up against each other, and we got to ease out of here. We got to be back down to the farmer's barn. It was his property. His 2 of his dogs were older dogs. We were training the other 2 younger dogs with. So let's get back down to the barn, to the house, and just say to each other, "By whatever y'all do, don't shoot. Don't shoot." Well, we've got these coon hunter lamps on. It's got a battery pack with a bright light on her headband. And one crosses a creek in front of us, and he's a big one. He's a big rascal. And they was like, what is that? What is that? That's a monster. I said, no, that's a dog man. I said, so let's ease on back. Well, there's a cedar tree to the left of us as we about halfway back to the barn, and one of these dog men run up his cedar tree. Well, the farmer was shooting a .22 rifle. He just empties all 15 rounds into that tree. Dog man comes out, hits the ground, and runs behind us and straight towards his barn. And I said, guys, we got a problem now. We've got a dog man in front of us, one on the side of us, one on the left of us. Now we got one behind us. We in trouble. So we slowly made our way out talking. We were all ready to thinking we're going to get ambushed. But we get to the barn and we can hear him in the barn. And I told the farmer there, I said, let's go in the barn and get him out. We're going to have to get him out. We're going to have to get him away from your place. He said, Bruce, I just got an old tractor, a hay baler, and some hay in there, and an old Ford truck.
Bruce, hold that thought. We're going to break.
Yeah.
Bruce Brown, another half hour.
Alrighty.
Dogman Encounters. Listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. Holy cow, my friend. Whoa. This is blowing my mind tonight. Absolutely blowing my mind. You know, it's funny that you said a couple of things that really, really helped me for my location. And that is, I had to bring in a brand new team this year because my partner last year, due to health issues, had to give it up. And so I had to bring in a few new members this year. And I was just talking to a couple people that I know in this field, Robin Haynes, especially. I don't know if you know Robin. But I was talking to her regarding this and how slow my area has been. And it's because, and she said the exact same thing as you, which is they're not used to my new team members. And that has really resonated with me. Like last year, when you say they're tricksters and jokesters, last year we were playing hide and go seek with them. Like that. I mean, they would,
Right.
I mean, the one snuck up on us. Here's the funniest story from last year. The one snuck up on us probably within, I'm going to say, less than 40 yards as the crow flies. And he starts ripping ass in the forest. And we ended up finding his pope. And that was in August of last year. And it still hasn't decomposed.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I might actually send you a picture of that just to see what you think.
Okay.
I'd be curious.
I'd be interested in that.
I'm going to send it to you right now, actually. Because I'm still baffled by it. Where is it here? I'm sending you 5 photos right now. By the way, for the rest of you, let's see here. Hold on 1 second here. Thank you, T-Bone. Just going to grab the link here. For the rest of you, I would appreciate if you go over to this channel if you haven't already. We are in the process of building Secrets of the Forest YouTube channel. I'm putting the link in the chat room right now. So it's youtube.com/SOR Secrets of the Forest. And Bruce is frozen up there again. And I'd appreciate if you all go hit subscribe on that. Claudette, how are you, my dear? Claudette will be coming to right. We'll have to come back in. You could go hit subscribe on that. We're trying to build that one up. YouTube.com/SOR Secrets of the Forest. We're going to be starting editing on season 2 here and start getting those out to you pretty quickly here. So that way you guys can check it on out. All right. Bruce, are you back? He is not back. Weird how he's freezing up during the breaks.
Yeah, I was trying to
Okay. We
look
got
at those
your audio.
pictures that froze up.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so we'll get rid of that one. We got you here. All right, here we go in 5 seconds. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in as we are talking with a gentleman by the name of Bruce Brown. For a couple of decades, he spent his time in law enforcement and as a detective as well. During that time, he is also somebody who chases down and tries to search for Dogman and Bigfoot. And you were talking about an incredible Bigfoot story that you got thumped by a Bigfoot and shoved right into a creek or waterway, river, whatever it may be, and you think about it, that it was probably just playing with you. That's what you think.
Yes. You got a bad statty out.
So
Can you hear me?
We got you. Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. I
All
got
right.
a delay in it now.
All right. Let's just continue on here. When you have these incredible encounters, Bruce, you obviously have hotspot areas where these things are happening. How did you find those areas, and do you continue to go back to build those relationships with the Bigfoot and the Dogman?
Yes, what I do is I go into the mountain regions, and then I try to find highly active areas. That's footprints, the sightings, cave systems.
So with
Can you
those,
still hear me?
yes, you're sounding great. So with those experiences,
Okay.
are you guaranteed activity, Bruce, every time you're there? Do they know you that well? Do they
Yes,
know?
and I've got certain.
Go ahead.
I've got certain areas that I'm guaranteed activity. Yeah.
Why do you do this alone? Why not partner up with a team and do this for whether it's safety or whether it's just something to do so that way you could cover more ground?
It has to do with trust issues with my group. If you get in there and you've got one or two members, one or two of your group that's not on the same page as you are, they try to they may come across as good investigators and researchers, but but they're trying to make money off of it.
That makes
And
sense.
I built my relationships with these cryptids by total trust.
And I guess the other thing too is you don't want them stealing, lack for a better term, your territory and claiming all your hard work is theirs.
Well, right, and then plus I want to protect these species.
I can understand that. I can totally understand it. Now,
We
are these locations that you have, and I'm not going to ask you specifically where they are because I don't like giving out the locations of mine. But are these on public land or are they on private land?
private and public.
Well, at least on the private land, you have some control.
Right. We're having a delay. Do I need to come
If you
come
want
in
to
and,
jump,
and
if you want to jump out and jump back in, you quickly can because I do have a lot more questions for you.
all right, let me go
Yeah, you
go
do
out
that.
and come back in.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right. We're going to bring him back here momentarily. And a lot of stuff that Bruce has said, it really resonates with me, especially at our one location that we call Flight 21. And I can tell you this, building trust with these creatures, these cryptids, they are very, very much in tune with where you are, who you are, and they send you down these little rabbit holes when you're in location. And like even last week when we were there, we just had a feeling that we had to go into the meadow area, and that's where we started getting some couple of footprints, about 12-inch tracks, not big ones, but at least they were there. And it led us into investigating a whole new area. Now, when you investigate those new areas, you usually do not find anything. You really don't find anything. You just end up kind of, going on this long lost soul search, trying to have something to happen, and it rarely does. But sometimes you have to follow those paths because there's a reason why, one way or another, that these cryptids seem to be taking you into those areas. Bruce, can you hear me okay now?
How's it sound now?
You sound perfect.
All righty. We were having
All
that bad lag, and I couldn't keep up with you.
That's okay. That's okay. Continuing on here, in your locations, I mean, at least you have control in the one that's on private land, but the public land, see, I deal with the public land one with my area.
Mhm.
And I am always worried that there are going to be other teams, who find that area and kind of disrupt what I'm doing out there. And so I'm just curious in your open in public area, do you worry about that as well?
No, what I do is I use private land to access the public areas. So I don't go into parking lots. I don't go into boat ramps. I don't go into where people are. The TVA, Tennessee Valley Authority, owns up to a lot of private lands. And so I gain access through that. So a lot of people don't know I'm even in there.
How long
So,
does one of your investigations last?
the Cumberland River Clan I've been with for 4 years. The Dogman clan on private property. 10, 12 years. Now, it all has to do with the food source. If we have a bad nut crop that year, they will migrate. So I have to find them. I get them to answer certain calls by us interacting. When I go in the woods, I use a certain call, and they know it's me.
How do you share your info, or are you just doing this for yourself?
I share my info to better educate people on how to deal with these things, and that they're not here to harm us or kill us. If you back them into a corner, or if you get stupid and think you're going to shoot one and make $1 million, I'm sure they wouldn't have a problem shredding you apart and eating you for lunch. They're just they're gentle creatures. I've had no problems with any of them. A younger man, I run into what I called a Bigfoot, a rogue Bigfoot at that time, but later I realized I agitated it. He didn't know me, I didn't know him, and if he could have got his hands on me, he would have killed me. So, but from then on, you learn. Times if you can afford to do so, and takes time off of work, and just camp out and hang out with them for a couple of weeks, and then they become a close family bond. They will protect you. They won't let any the alphas in the bunch, which is normally the females. A lot of people say the alphas are the males. Well, they may be in certain areas of the country, but here generally the ringleader of the bunch is the female, and what she says goes. So I have a good reputation with them, and as they grow up, have little ones and grow up, I get to hold them, hang out with them, and I become part of one of them. And they're more, it's hard to believe this, they have a more human quality about them than we do. They have a more sincere, honest, down to earth than we do.
So you believe there is like an honesty tracker with them?
Right. They're it's built into them. They don't want to do us any harm. Naturally, if a deer hunter or somebody starts shooting them and hurting them, or destroying their food plots, their lands and stuff, you're going to get a little kickback. You have corporations that mine the minerals out of the ground, take the gold out of the ground, corporation that strips massive amounts of forest for wood, water rights, all the mineral rights, and then when there's nothing left, you'll eventually see they'll come out and say, yeah, Bigfoot's been around the whole time. It's something like the spotted owl and stuff. The rare minnows that's in some of Tennessee creeks, but they're not allowed to go in and take gravel out of the gravel roads and stuff because it would cause an extinction. Well, these big corporations are not about to admit that Bigfoot and Dogman, the ancient ones, who were here long before us, exist, because it would cost them too much money. It'd be trillions of dollars lost.
What do you think these cryptids are? Like, do you think they're a breed of animal that has been, you know, been here the entire time? Do you think it's something more? What do you think these cryptids are?
No, I believe that the ones I deal with has come across the land bridge, and it's been passed down through their DNA. Come across the land bridge between Russia and the United States. They filtered in and they've adapted to a lot of our lifestyles and a lot of our cultures, and or we have theirs. That's the key. A lot of people don't understand the government does protect them. They do protect them to an extent, but they're not gonna stop forestry, logging, mineral rights. They're not gonna stop any of that, but they will protect them. And after all that land stripped and is used to no one, they'll probably do them like they did the indigenous Indians and put them on reservations, capture them and put them on reservations.
Do you think these creatures have special powers, like supernatural type powers to cloak, or to, like you said, with the lasers that were on your chest from the eyeballs of this
Yes,
dog?
you can. If you mastered one thing or two things in your whole life, whether it be playing a guitar or just fishing, you could become a master at it. And they're masters of hiding. I call it the chameleon effect. They just have the ability to disappear, and some of it may be supernatural. I have no idea, but the ones I deal with are just extremely good at hiding, extremely good at. They're so fast that a lot of times in a close vicinity in the woods, when people take pictures, they're moving so fast they actually get a blurred picture, or the lens picks up on a sapling or a piece of weed and distorts the picture.
Right. I want to get to a couple audience questions here for you, because we do have a couple.
Okay.
Going back to your Dogman encounter, the first one, did it circle around, or was it another one that made the tracks? Do you know?
I couldn't be 100% for sure. The direction it went and where I seen it go, it could be woods in that field were to the left, so it could have very easily crossed a rock fence and come back up that fence without me seeing it.
Because usually I know with Sasquatch, seeing a lone one is very rare, or you may see a lone one, but there's usually other ones around. Do you think it's the same way with the Dogmen as well?
Sometimes, not all the times. Dogmen don't really like each other. They only get together for breeding purposes. Where Bigfoot are clans. If you only see one Bigfoot, you can assume there's probably 6 or 7 that you ain't seen.
So they're like lone wolves, pun intended.
Right.
Let's go to Jules here. So we got about 5.5 minutes to go with Bruce Brown tonight. Incredible Dogman and Bigfoot encounter stories. Have you heard tell of Sasquatch in an area or with Dogmen, or do they seem to stay separate?
No, it's just like people. Certain times you'll see both together. Most of the time you will not see them both together. They have territorial markers. If you are in the woods and you see a tree the size of your arm or leg that is twisted over and over, that's a boundary to let one side know not to cross over in the other side. If you see tree breaks that are slanted in directions, that's just markers for either side to let them know what like a Bigfoot, the clans move that way or water's that way. But anytime you see a very twisted tree that's not snapped, then that's a boundary, and generally they won't cross those boundaries.
What are some of the clues that are out there if people are in a potential area that they should look for Bigfoot or Dogman?
For Bigfoot, look for older structures. Bigfoot is more of a lodge type builder. Look for those old ancient structures. Go to areas on private property that have a lot of cave systems. Look around in front of those cave systems, because just right outside that cave, there'll be a fire pit. And in that fire pit, Bigfoot does know how to make fire. And while you're looking at that fire pit, move up and down that bluff and look for flat slab rocks that are maybe 6 to 8 inches thick and 12 foot long. And that'll be your burial chambers for the Bigfoot. Dogmen tend to stay under bluff overhangs, and they will dig a hole big enough for them to lay in. And of course they utilize caves also too.
Let's go to T-Bone here. How did your car look after the incidents with the Dogman jumping on top of them?
The cracked windshield, the windshield pushed in, so I have an inside crack. When you paper towel it, the crack will grab the windshield. The mirror broke off. I was able to put it back. I'm waiting on a new mirror to replace it with. It's one of those that's got a blinker light and a heater system in it. So I'm going to have to replace the whole thing. It's cracked right at the door and pushed down. So it popped the mirror glass itself out also. And I was able to get a piece of mirror glass off of another style vehicle just to glue inside that until I can get that whole piece, because my mirror has a turn signal on the backside of it, and it's also heated.
All right, moving on, a follow-up from T-Bone. Do the Dogmen have a scent? Can you smell it?
Yes, they do. The juvenile Dogman I swim across the lake at Standing Stone State Park had a wet dog smell. During mating season, they have a really high between a cat and a skunk smell. The Bigfoot have glands on the inside of their leg that they pee on. The males pee on that, and of course they can smell the females when they're in the heat. If you're really wanting to get into Bigfoot research, make sure you carry 1 or 2 women with you, preferably on their monthly. It's just make sure that you protect them at all costs.
I've heard that before. Bruce, where can people find your information?
You can get me on the Cryptid Hunters. I'm a moderator for. You can get me at Daryl Denton's group, Bigfoot Believers and Other Creatures. And you can get me at the Cryptid Wrangler. I'm on the panel there. an advisory panel for a guest. And if you don't find me there, I'll be in the woods somewhere.
Or back on this show in the fall. Bruce Brown, everybody. We're going to get more into him in the fall. Swamp Dweller and the UFO Report next.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Bruce, we got to get you back in the fall, man.
All right. Yeah. Anytime.
Much love, my friend. And thank you for being a listener, too.
Yeah. No problem. No problem.
Just, all right, you take care, my friend.
All righty. Thank you. Thank
Bye-bye.
you for having me on me. If I can help y'all with anything, let me know.
Please do. Thank you, buddy.
All right. All right. Bye-bye.
Stop now! You're under arrest! Hands up! Don't move!
Don't get caught without your Spaced Out Radio merchandise. We have t-shirts, mugs, hoodies, socks, hats, stickers, and so much more. Whatever you're looking for, we have you covered. Why just be a fan of the paranormal when you can look the part? We don't have ugly merch, folks. Check out the Spaced Out Radio store. Find the link in the description below.
Dirty filth. Dirty filth. Dirty filth.
Object is heading north 045 degrees. It's definitely not a plane. It seems to be tethered to something. Is that a banner, Joe? Caribou Con. Does anyone know what Caribou Con is?
Caribou Con, one of the BC Caribou region's best-kept secrets. Until now. Join our panel of renowned paranormal experts for a weekend of fun and intriguing presentations. Go to cariboucon.com to book or inquire now.
Over here. Look at this.
Discover Spaced Out Radio on all your favorite platforms. We're live every single night with the best in UFOs, cryptids, paranormal, and the unexplained. And you can find us on all your favorite platforms. Head over to Instagram for behind the scenes and daily weirdness, TikTok for quick mind-bending clips, Facebook for community discussions, and X for real-time updates and hot takes. Wherever you scroll, Spaced Out Radio is there. So go search Spaced Out Radio on every platform, hit follow, and turn on notifications so you never miss a single episode. The Weird is waiting. See you there.
The McNeil House is one of several buildings at the 108-mile heritage site said to be haunted by spirits of a time long forgotten. But would you stay the night? Along with guided ghost tours and paranormal investigations, Haunted 108 is offering a chance to spend the entire night inside the historic McNeil House by booking one of our B&B style sleepovers, where you can experience the hauntings firsthand, meet the resident ghost cat, and witness unusual activity. If you dare to turn history into a night you'll never forget, book your spot now at haunted108.com. Spots are limited. Will you be brave enough?
All right, we bring in Grant Baker, the Grantavious one.
Hola, senor.
How you doing with the forest fires?
It's just really smoky. And I mean, like, you can't even see the other side of the lake. Yeah, it keeps cutting out our internet every now and again. It did it twice in the last 10 minutes, and I was just like, oh, don't do this to me.
Well, we'll power through.
Oh, yeah, it'll be okay.
Power through. Good 25 seconds. Swamp Dweller tonight will be 2.5 minutes. All right. You're looking beautiful, my friend.
Not as good looking as you, though.
Oh, don't even start. Don't even start. We're coming back in 5 seconds. Here we go with the final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. I tell you, I'm still reeling over those encounters with Dogman and Sasquatch with Bruce Brown. If you missed that portion, go check out our free archives. Man, is that good. Wow. We got Swamp Dweller and then Grant Baker with the UFO report coming on up here momentarily. But first, I want to say hello to all of you and thank you for tuning us in tonight on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Fantasticate. Fantasticate is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. Some childhood memories were so scary to me that I will never forget them. Like the one I'm about to share with you today. When I was 5 or 6 years old, I strongly believed I had a ghost living in my house. One night, while I was watching TV on the couch in my living room, I got distracted by a rocking chair moving back and forth. It was very odd. The windows were open, but there was no wind blowing that night. This was in the fall, so we didn't need to turn on the AC most days. It was a little weird, but I figured it was probably rocking back and forth because it was just a really old rocking chair. It stopped rocking a minute later, and it didn't move again. The next night, when I was watching TV again, I heard a cup fall to the ground from the shelf. Something wasn't right. Why would it just fall like that? There was nobody over there. I thought it was probably just a draft, so I walked over to the kitchen area, which was right next to the living room. I picked up the cup off the floor and placed it back where it should belong. Nothing happened again that night or the following night. The night after, I was watching TV yet again, And out of the blue, a radio on the desk right next to the TV turned on by itself. This was not a draft. A radio can't just turn on by itself. It would only turn on if someone manually enabled it. At this time, I started freaking out and crying to myself silently. Eventually, after getting some courage, I ran to my parents' room while I heard the radio still playing. I barged right in to see my mom on the phone with someone. I heard her say to whoever she was on the phone with, "Hold on a second." She asked me what the matter was. I exclaimed that the radio had just turned on out of nowhere by itself, and I thought that a ghost had done it. She rolled her eyes, sighed, and said, "Come along with me." So we went together into the living room. When I got back to the living room, the radio was now turned off. My mom then told me, "See, there is no such thing as ghosts." I told her that I was being for real, but she didn't buy it. She walked back to her room and continued the conversation where she left off with whoever she was on the phone with. No sudden movements ever happened again. I was so scared to go into that living room for quite some time after that. Eventually, I did face my fears, though, but it will always stick with me. I know most people don't believe in the paranormal, but I firmly believe that ghosts were in my house back in the day. These stories might not be necessarily terrifying, but they creeped me out to no end.
Thank you, Swampy, for another spooky story. If you want more just like that, head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller, hit subscribe, ring that bell. Thousands of stories for you to listen to each and every night, so make sure you check them on out. As we head from the swamp to the stars, Grant Baker is here for the UFO Report.
Tonight, signal shining in the sky. Grant's got the stories breaking through. What's hidden now comes into view. From distant light to secret clouds, mystery threats of mountain miles. Truth revealed, every signal slowly peeled. So tune in close, don't miss the facts. UFO Max, we've got your backs. Becomes a song.
All right, Grant Baker, how you doing, buddy? Nice to have you here.
No, always doing good, my friend. Thank you for having me, and thank everybody that's listening for being here with us as well.
It is a very, very busy time. Did you ever think that in this time in ufology, we'd all be tuned in to Dr. Phil?
Not a chance. Not a chance. I had no idea that he was even into this, to be honest with you. I've watched his TV shows, and trying to help young teens or parents, and he was a great guy. But then this actually kind of surprised me with what I just read. It's quite entertaining, and it's really kind of a breath of fresh air.
Well, he basically said that, he got the information from watching the news and then watching the tranches and reading the tranches. And before the fourth tranche was released, he got a note from President Trump saying, "Hey, check this out." And that's where apparently it all changed for him.
It is. And this is going to be a long one if you don't mind having a little sit down, and I can go through this with you if you'd like.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So it starts out with a quote. Anyone who leaked a UFO report could be prosecuted under the Espionage Act, life in prison or death. That is foreboding. Maybe we can reverse engineer this so we will have this incredible edge over the rest of the world. Dr. Phil had me at the Bollinger memo. And so Dr. Phil continued to kill it yesterday, and this was better than the last one. Link to full video would be below, and that's if anybody's reading this along with me. Our government has been lying to us for more than 80 years. Ask yourself why. Why do they not want you to know this is going on? And he starts out showing that Google searches for UFOs have allegedly nearly tripled since last Friday night, along with searches for UAP being up 400%. And Dr. Phil UFO is one of the fastest rising searches in the country. If all of that is true, it's a very good thing, especially since he's been putting out some really good videos. He mentioned the latest release, number 4 of the tranches of UFO UAP files from the Pentagon last Friday. And quote, he said, "My team and I were granted early access, exclusive access to those documents before they went public." That must have been fun. "Our government has been lying to us by omission and by intentional misdirection for 79 years. Another quote, he says, "Look at these documents. You go back as far as 1947, where they had clear information that there are objects not of this earth, both technologically, metallurgically, performance-wise, but yet that has been hidden from us. They've denied that. They've actually threatened people from talking about this, threatened with careers, imprisonment, and some with death because they would consider it treason." And he backed it up with documents, which we're going to look at now. So Dr. Phil, for 80 years, every time there was a legitimate UAP sighting and the U.S. government had a chance to get in there, they essentially told us, quote, "There is nothing to see here. Move along." To be clear, a UAP sighting is not proof of little green men or alien life. It means something happened. Something was observed. Something occurred from which we have no explanations. That's it. Now, let us talk about that for a second.
Okay.
Things happen and we don't have any explanation for it. We don't have technology that explains it. There's something that is observed in the sky. I've seen it. You've seen it. A lot of our listeners have seen it. They're going at sometimes breakneck speeds, stopping, making sharp turns, reversing directions, accelerating, changing altitudes. We don't have anything on this earth that can do that. And that's what's called unexplained.
Here's the thing. I'll tell you, when I saw Dr. Phil kind of get into the UFO game last week, I was kind of like, really, do we really need another celebrity playing the "oh my God" card? These things are real. And, and I even predicted, I said, look, on his show coming up, you're going to see Chris Mellon, you're going to see probably Lou Elizondo and all of the faces that we have seen the last number of years. And sure enough, Chris Mellon shows up on the show. But I was surprised to see pleasantly Bryce Zabel on there from the Need to Know podcast. And Bryce also used to work for CNN back in the day. So it kind of makes a little bit of sense. And he's very well known in the television realm. So I thought that was very, very cool to see him on there with him. And I think I'm, in his enthusiasm with it and the fact that he has a multi-million fan base for daytime television, this could be a good thing to get the public aware of what is going on. Now, the sad part about it, if you want to put your tinfoil on for a second, this is where we do, I think, have to be a little bit aware and beware of it. And that is his friendship with the president, the fact that the president reached out to him to say, hey, you might want to check this out, and gave him the information early, plus whatever other information he may have leaked to him. And it sticks with that whole realm of controlling the narrative, Grant.
It does. I do agree with that. But when you have someone that has this type of media base like Dr. Phil, it is a step in the right direction because you are obviously you're getting people tuned into the fact that there's something going on in our skies, whether they're using it as, a weapon against us or trying to smoke and mirrors, so to speak. Either way, you're getting more people on board. I mean, a 400% increase on people looking up UAPs and UFOs since last Friday because of the new tranches, which when they came out were great. And there's a few of them in there that I'm really wanting to dig into. I haven't had a chance yet, but I will. And it's not just dots, but we got a couple good little photos in there. And I think that's something that Dr. Phil's going to land on as well.
I think it all depends on where he decides to take this subject.
Yeah.
Okay. If he decides to, do the whole UAP thing and bring out the videos, especially the first 3 videos of the Tic Tac Go Fast, then we're going to know right off the bat, as we saw with Chris Mellon coming on the show, and I'm pretty sure it will be Lou Elizondo and maybe David Grush and probably a couple of the YouTubers that are out there. They may get a pull into that as well. We'll probably see Tim Burchett or Eric Burleson or Anna Paulina Luna on there as well. And look, he's going to talk to the usual suspects.
Yep.
Everybody who is new, who has a major platform, does not go for the people who've been doing the research for a number of years. They go for the names because the names are going to go on there very easily. Example, if Jacques Vallée or Gary Nolan gets a phone call from Dr. Phil, they would be stupid not to go on there.
Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely stupid or Avi Loeb, who wants $1 billion in research funding to go after this topic. They would be silly not to go on there because when they do, Dr. Phil can make them look really, really good. And that may open up the wallets a little bit to some people, especially people like Dr. Phil, because when you hang out with millionaires and multi-millionaires, it leads you to the billionaires.
Mm-hmm.
And it leads you to the money. So do I think Dr. Phil knows what he's getting into? Probably. He's a pretty smart guy. Seems like that. Is he a ufologist all of a sudden? No. But you know what? The good part about it is he has a major platform to bring more publicity to this subject. Let's just hope that he doesn't fall for the governmental side of this, which they will probably will allow him to do that by giving him the information, giving him these stories of, hey, check this out. You can never use this on the air, but this is just for your knowledge about how serious we are about it. He's going to get that information, but you're not going to see the Richard Dolans of the world on there. You're not going to see people who have carried this subject for the last 3, 4, 5 decades with hardcore international and investigative research. You're not going to see them. Grant Cameron will never be on Dr. Phil. Okay. Pick your ufologist that you trust, who's been around for decades. They're not going to be on Dr. Phil. But at least we are increasing the audience size. Now, those who are on the conspiratorial side will say, hey, Grant, this is all part of the PSYOP. This is all about the control of this UAP garbage for man-made objects. And they will sit there and they will say they could use him in order to get more people psyched up on the subject to the point where it's control again for that alien invasion that's never going to happen.
Correct. Well, I mean, this is a massive shift in how mainstream media figures like Dr. Phil handle, this type of topic, because what Dr. Phil is laying out here isn't just wild speculation, though. He's actually quite literally reading straight from historical receipts. You have 2 documents that he's anchoring his entire breakdown on, and that's the 71 Turner Report and the 1969 Bollinger Memo. And both are considered the holy grail items for anyone trying to understand the structural mechanics of the UAP cover-up. And so he's in the right realm at this moment. Once he got into the JANEP 146 and the Espionage Weapons Act or Act Weapon or whatever that, I always get that mixed up. And then you go into the Bollinger Memo, and he just keeps going on with these, with reverse engineering. But it's a format that works, just like you're saying, to be able to get more people's attention. Dr. Phil, yeah, you're 100% spot on with that, I believe.
Look, Tucker Carlson had stated that he saw a huge spike in his ratings and advertising dollars when he started talking UFOs. Joe Rogan, the same way. Dr. Phil is going to cash in on this subject. Not that he needs the money, but for him talking publicly and as loud as he has been the last week about this subject, he's going to cash in big time on that.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be a giant ratings grabber for him. And let's see where it goes. Let's see if he starts pushing the government narrative on it. Right?
Hopefully.
I mean, at least in the last tranche, they showed us some videos from North America rather than just war zones. So at least we're finally realizing that there are videos from the United States in here, man.
Yep.
But overall, do you agree? Do you think Dr. Phil will be good for this?
You know, I have a kind of a soft spot in my heart for him. I've always loved how he's handled himself, especially on the platforms that he's had and the things that he's tried to do to help people. He seems like a genuine guy to me. And, you know, going into this particular realm, I think a lot more, we're going to start seeing a lot more people doing it as well. It's getting to the point where this is just completely undeniable. We're not alone. We have something crazy going on around us, and we're going to figure it out. And I think over the course of time, more and more people are going to be doing this. So I want to give him the benefit of the doubt and say, yeah, is he going to have a little bit of a financial return on this? Most likely. But I think it's, in my heart, I want to say that his mindset and his heart is in the right place for this. And only time will tell. And I hope he doesn't hurt my feelings on it.
Let's also go of note, Grant, as we got about 3 minutes before we go to break. He was made by Oprah.
Correct.
And him and Oprah are still very, very close. Oprah's a multi-billionaire, as we know. Like Dr. Phil is a rich man, probably, you know, he's in the triple comma category for sure. Okay, but when you're tied to Oprah, you get a lot of pull. Okay? And you get a lot of openings towards the elites, and I hate using this term because I'm so not a conspiracy theorist when it comes to all of this. Maybe I should be, but you know, some people will shake their head when I say I'm not, but it opens the door to a lot of billionaire money. And I think that is something that we need to watch too, because there are many, many people with very deep pockets who are in the 4 comma club that may all of a sudden, because of him, take an interest. Thank you, Grant, for saying that Dr. Phil has a net worth of almost $500 million.
Correct.
You know, so he's still 3 comma. He hasn't reached the 4 comma club yet.
Give it time.
You know, he is in that club that can afford his own private jet, though.
Yes.
Yes. I don't think he's struggling, you know, probably with his G650.
Yeah. He's well off. A money grab. I mean, I don't understand people that have a lot of money. If that's, you know, something that once you get up to a certain amount, I mean, what's the use of having more? You only live once. So, I mean, if you have $1 billion, like, well, yeah, that's enough.
What do you think? What do you think of this comment by Acuff? Dr. Phil is actually a ufologist because the only prerequisite is to call yourself a ufologist. It's like house painters. What do you need? A business card.
Well, I don't have a ufologist business card, unfortunately. Now that I just read that, I'm going to call myself a ufologist and do very minimal research and get a business card, and maybe the money will come to me.
You never know. You never know. Grant Baker joins us at least twice a week for the UFO report. He is somebody who we rely on to make sure that you get all the latest breaking and news-making news regarding the UFO world. And you know what? I want to know what you think of Dr. Phil joining the Twitter crowd and the UFO crowd and going in there. I shouldn't say Twitter, I should say X crowd. By going in there and tweeting away about UFOs. You like it? You think it's good? Let me know.
This is Spaced Out Radio. Your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we're clear.
Sweet. So we can break down the video if you want that he did.
Wherever you want to go, man.
Sweet. Because I broke it down real quick.
Wherever you want to go.
Absolutely. And then we got the other two over here. Perfect. Sweet. Sweet.
Have you ever seen these videos on YouTube where they play professional hide and go seek?
Yes. And I love them and I watch them every time.
I love those videos. I was watching one earlier today. And some of these shows, man, these guys go all out.
Oh yeah.
And how they are found, I don't get it.
It's some of them, like there's the one guy that turned himself into a tree. He literally dug a hole at the base of a tree, had himself reburied with twigs and leaves and everything, and he had a professional makeup artist literally made his face look like the tree. So where the roots are, his face was right there, and all he had to do was close his eyes. I mean, if you didn't know he was there and he just didn't move, you would never see him. And they had, zoomed out a little bit so you could see the whole tree and you couldn't see him. And it was like, in that one, the police were looking for him and they finally found him. It's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Or one guy
absolutely crazy how they are able to do this. I mean,
dude, they'll build fake walls. Or
yeah,
one guy turned himself into a AC unit and hid inside a fake AC unit.
Yeah, I watched one guy turn himself into like a vending machine.
Yeah, I saw that one too.
I don't know. I think it's hilarious.
I would love to get the opportunity to do something like that, where they can't find you and you win, and you get like $100,000 or something like that, or whatever the prize money is. And I would just love the chance just to have fun and participate in something like that.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be really good.
Squid Games.
Got about 2.5 minutes.
Sweet.
Boondock, how you doing? I love the Squid Games. I do.
Yeah, the cookie part is what would get me.
The cookie part, I would totally die at the cookie part.
Yeah, me too.
And at the red light, green light. Because my balance is horrible. I wouldn't make it through that round.
That's when you just crawl.
No, but you're on a timeline.
Crawl fast.
90 seconds.
Gotcha. Yeah, I watch all those. I like, what is it called? Doom scroll, binge watch. I just pick something on YouTube because I always watch my sailing videos and UFO stuff. And then I let it go and it'll just take me down these crazy rabbit holes. And I end up watching all that kind of stuff. The funny ones are the pet bloopers. Or cats being scared of
cucumbers.
zucchini. Yeah, cucumbers.
Saw one the other day where a house cat was walking really closely to like a tiger cage. The tiger came up that was like growling at it, and all of this, and the little cat just started pounding the shit out of the tiger, and the tiger went running off. It's like, come on, you're like quintuple its size. Thank you, T-Bone, with a hat trick tonight. Thank you to Candace and Danielle as well for the super chats. Greatly appreciate it. And we're coming back in 10 seconds. I'll be on with Walter tonight too. So,
by the way, if you have a cat and you pass, it'll
here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Let's get right to the UFO report with Grant Baker. My name is Dave Scott. We are here 5 nights a week for your listening entertainment. So here we go. UFO report continues. Grant, what do you got for us?
So I'm going to go back to something you said earlier when we first started the last hour here. You had talked about how Dr. Phil had told Chris Mellon and Bryce Abel that he had his early first look at the tranches, and that Trump had sent him a message that said, had fun with this. It does raise intriguing questions. I mean, is he being set up to become Trump's most trusted public communicator on disclosure? Can that even work? And just like you said before, or will it be seen as just another in the Kid Rock and Lee Greenwood style stuff? So in the episode, Dr. Phil's podcast, it was titled Disclosure, What We Know, What Happens Next. He frames the UFO UAP issue not as an abstract scientific debate, but as a massive challenge in human psychology and social readiness. And he approaches built on a few core tenets, and one of them is the core focus: human behavior, confusion, and lack of context. So right from the opening, he clarifies that he is not a UAP expert or an astrophysicist. And that was at the 1 minute, 13 second mark. Instead, he views the situation through his lens as like a behaviorist. There's a danger of raw data. He warns that dumping massive tranches of uncontextualized government data causes confusion and paranoia, and usually leaving citizens vulnerable to scammers and people with agendas. And then there's the Betty in Ohio or Idaho principle. He introduces the archetype of everyday Americans, Betty in Idaho, who doesn't track these things. He argues the average citizen needs clear physical context, like understanding what a maneuver pulling 1,000 Gs actually means to make sense of the news. He goes on with a little bit of a deep concern for vulnerable population. He repeatedly stresses that disclosure is not just a government memo, it is a psychological shockwave. I thought that was interesting at the 25-minute mark. He voices specific worry for elderly who may be overwhelmed and those on the mental emotional fringes who could easily be exploited by con artists, urging them to buy a buried school bus in the mountains. And they used to have a show about that. He points to a study commissioned by UAP advocate Chris Mellon, which found that while 85% of people will adapt easily, 15% will require serious psychological assistance to process the paradigm shift. Then there's outspoken criticism of government secrecy, where Dr. Phil does not hold back on the state's historical handling of the phenomenon. The fictional reality, he accuses the government of lying by omission and constructing a fictional reality for 80 years to misdirect the public. There's temporary employees. He highlights this just systemic issues where presidents are treated as temps. preventing the head of the executive branch from ever having full access to highly guarded fractionalized secrets. And then there was a push for clarity. He urges the government to release clear high-definition electro-optical 4K and 8K footage to remove all doubt so the public and scientific community can align on reality, which is probably what we need. And there was a message of reassurance. After that, I suggest anybody that's interested, go and watch it for yourself.
Let's get to JD Vance. This is very interesting.
Oh, yes. So JD Vance doesn't think the government has space alien remains as it would have been leaked out. Vance stated, and then it's I quote, "I am skeptical of the competence. I actually made this point to Dave when we talked, and I think he's a very intelligent guy. So I don't mean to insult him or say I disagree with him about anything, but I made this point to Dave when we talked. It's like if we have literal space aliens remains in custody of the United States government, there is no way that wouldn't get leaked, that wouldn't leak out in some way." And then in this, it says, what struck me as odd during this interview is that one stage Vance claimed to be really into this topic. During this interview, he didn't even have a clue about the most basic of stories. Then he reiterates to Joe Rogan that he will look into it and get to the bottom of the topic. "I will be over here not holding my breath," is what it said. So the interaction of politics and the UFO, UAP topic, this always makes for great headlines. And JD Vance's recent sit down on the Joe Rogan Experience is certainly getting the UFO Twitter community buzzing. What makes Vance's skepticism about the space alien remains so fascinating is the contrast with his other public statements on the matter. I mean, they pointed out that he claims to be really into the topic, yet expressed doubt about a core claim that has dominated congressional hearings. The competence argument versus whistleblowers. When he told Joe that he's skeptical because if we have literal space alien remains, there's no way they wouldn't leak out. He is taking a very common, sometimes people call it pragmatic stance on government operations. The state is simply too disorganized to keep a secret that massive, which is also another reason why most of us believe that it's not the actual United States government that has these things. It's most likely other enterprises. However, UAP advocates point out that this ignores the testimony of people like David Grush. And David Grush is a former high-level intelligence officer who testified under oath to Congress in 2023.
Well, I think with JD Vance, though, one thing we do have to remember is he's in a job that's on a timeline. They're not going to give people like him. I mean, we've heard this over the years from people allegedly in the know. They're not going to give a president or a vice president who is on a timeline the deep, dark information that they want.
Mm-hmm.
They're not on the need to know. And the reason why is because it's not like a Commonwealth country or a dictatorship where you can be elected for as many years as the public feels you're doing a great job in a Commonwealth type country, or if you are in a dictatorship where the leadership doesn't change until you're dead, like North Korea. So it's very difficult to believe Vance on that one because he's not there for long.
Mm-hmm.
And look, if he becomes president, he's going to be privy to a lot more information than what he currently has if he were to run after Trump. But, that's going down a political road that we don't really need to go. The fact is, though, right now he's on a timeline, and they're not going to tell people who are on timelines about that. Add to the fact that he does add his religious perspective on this.
I was just
saying that these are demons. They're not aliens. They're demons, or he believes they're demons. Let's clarify that. He believes they are demons. So just your thoughts, Grant.
So I have the quote here, and I was actually going to say something about that because there's three different things we got to take away from what Vance is doing. Just like you're saying, he claims to be interested in it, and I'll get to the bottom of it, and doesn't have the basic theory or even story knowledge of any of the stories. And he's also going down saying, hey, you know, there's a competence issue here. But then there's a twist, and I had written this down, and it's a quote. I don't think they're aliens. I think they're demons anyway. I think it's best to explain extra natural phenomenon through the Christian understanding. That's exactly what he said. So,
and for all intents and purposes, he's allowed to believe that.
Correct. It almost feels like he's playing both sides to me. I mean, for maybe a few other people that are in this movement, it's kind of frustrating. It's like he's walking a tightrope. So on one hand, he's promising that he's obsessed, get to the bottom of the UFO files during his time in office, which is what you're talking about. On the other hand, he's dismissing the core findings of the congressional investigations as a competence issue. It just makes it feel like the administration is kicking the can down the road, and that's about all they're doing. And, you know, whether this is like a general belief in the government leaks or a convenient way to manage expectations around a highly sensitive topic, I mean, it certainly keeps us on air and talking about something.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I mean, but the idea, though, that there is no there,
right,
that this would have leaked by now. What about all the leaks that have already happened? Whether it's Bob Lazar, whether it's William Cooper, whether it's the astronauts, whether it's the latest releases. I mean, look, that's out there. Jesse Marcel, his son, Jesse Marcel Jr., following up with what his dad had written down and had told him. There is a lot of drops out there. Lou Elizondo, David Grush. You can't just sit there and say, well, nothing is coming out, and you don't believe these guys. So obviously that's not information you can trust.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, but there are people that are giving us this information, you know, like retired generals and commanders. These people didn't retire as a commander out of the armed forces for being, you know, wacky or have a loose noodle where they're, oh, I saw a UFO and come out swinging when they go up and on the stand and actually swear under oath and speak under oath to Congress. Like Commander David Fravor is the one I'm speaking about. These aren't people that, in my mind, would lie about something like this. They're telling the truth, and I think we need to take those as at face value. What they're saying is 100% true. So, I don't know. If we're kicking the can down the road, it's sure fun to do it.
But it also goes to show how many different directions this story is going. Okay, you got President Trump handing some information to Dr. Phil. Well, that's the one person who's the boss of J.D. Vance, who says a completely different perspective than Trump does on this subject, who says a completely different perspective as Chris Mellon or David Grush, Lou Elizondo, Al Putoff, Jim Semivan, whoever may be talking about it. So we have that going on right now, man, where there are so many different perspectives of this subject and what is being seen and heard that people really do not know. They really don't know. And their own government is sending them in multiple directions at the same time.
Smoke and mirrors, my man. Almost need to have somebody out there that has a little bit of power and know-how to create some type of venue where these things can be put down and consolidated, where everybody can just go to one avenue to get it and everything broke down for them. But even then, you'd have to have somebody that's watching over that to make sure that that's not bias-based.
Very true. Very true. We got about 8 minutes to go here. What else do you got for us, Grant?
I was talking about Congressman Eric Burleson on Brazil's 1996 UFO crash. He quoted, "We have requested that the FBI exhume the body that came into contact with the alien. I'm in search of truth, and I'm not going to stop until I get the cold hard facts or the materials in my hands. He met firsthand witnesses, including a doctor who treated a non-human survivor described as having a teardrop-shaped head with a high intelligence. The doctor sensed the being was grateful, yet placating us as if our medical efforts were cute. Burleson sent letters to the CIA and FBI requesting records, flight logs, and any involvement in the cigar-shaped craft incident that witnesses say involved wreckage that instantly resumed its shape. We've heard about that before as well, when crumpled, plus unknown microorganisms linked to a soldier's death. As a member of the UAP caucus, he's pushing for real answers on this decades-old case that Brazil's version of Roswell. The American people deserve transparency on these extraordinary claims. Now, that is actually a really interesting story. When you actually look up the incident itself, so the body that Eric Burleson is referring to is almost certainly that of Marco Eli Cherez. He's a 23-year-old military policeman who was part of the search and capture operation in Varginha. Legends hold that Cherez barehandedly captured one of the creatures on the night of the January 20th, 1996, shortly after he developed a severe rapid onset infection that shut down his immune system, leading to his death on February 15th, 1996. For decades, researchers and his family have sought answers regarding the precise pathogen that killed him and whether any biological foreign agents were present. So it is an interesting story. The fact that he touched this thing, and if you listen to more of it, I don't have it here, but I do vaguely remember that when he was carrying this, he got scratched by it, and he was holding it in the car. And then he shortly got sick and then unfortunately passed away. So, exhuming that and trying to see, I don't know if I'd want to get near it, to be honest with you. If that pathogen,
I don't know where anybody from the American government would have the audacity to ask another country to exhume a body that isn't American.
Yeah, it's pretty bold. I mean, it's also his family, and he was a living human being. He's not a science project. I don't know. Maybe they had samples from back then that can find. Doctors are notorious for taking samples and trying to figure out what the heck this stuff was. I know they tried to have it tested, so somewhere they have more information on what this may or may not have been. I mean, by demanding that the CIA and FBI release their FOIA-exempt records and legal attaché files from Brazil, Eric Burleson is testing whether U.S. agencies were covertly involved in the transport and containment of the Varginha wreckage or biological samples. So that's where he's coming in saying, well, if the American government was already there and had a hand in it, he's trying to pull that out of the closet, so to speak.
Why do you think they are focusing so much on the Varginha case? I know it's an amazing case.
Right.
Okay. I'm not downplaying that whatsoever. But what I am asking in regards to this is, why do you think they are focusing so much on a Brazilian case when they could be worried more about an American case? I mean, take the Lonnie Zamora case, or even if you wanted to jump into Canada that has evidence, the Falcon Lake incident with Stefan Mikulik. I mean, why not go to those cases? Why not go to, Roswell or Kecksburg or even Phoenix? I don't understand the relationship that these two subjects have with two foreign governments.
Yeah, it's a leverage strategy is what they're doing. It's called the joint key lock. They're also testing for what they call GLOBAR and FOIA guardrails. They're testing the waters here. So domestically, the UAP caucus frequently runs into brick walls because U.S. agencies can easily claim, national security regarding sensitive military tech and aerospace coordinates, stuff like that. But the Varginha happened on foreign soil 30 years ago. In 2025, when private citizens filed Freedom of Information Act requests regarding U.S. military flights to Campinas, Virginia, in January of 96, the CIA issued a Glomar response, refusing to either confirm nor deny the existence of the records. So I think why they're focusing on it is because they think that they were there. He is using this position on the House Oversight Committee and the task force on the declassification of federal secrets to challenge this. It's a cleaner legal battleground, basically.
But that could go with any case.
Oh, of course.
Any case. Okay. In North America, there was an alleged UFO crash in the 50s in the province of Manitoba. By the time the Canadian military got there, the United States military was already packing it up. And they said, hey, what are you doing? This is Canadian soil. They said, what are you going to do to us?
Oh, man.
Right? Like literally, that's what it was. So we have these cases. So it just, I understand with what you're going. If the U.S. government is involved with this and sent CIA down there, sure. Absolutely. I could totally see why people would want the information. That makes sense to me. But there are so many cases and around the United States, I think it's a deflection of what is happening on home soil, just like in the tranches, man, where you hear the politicians and everybody talking tough prior to the release of the tranche about all of this unsafe airspace in the United States and over military bases, so on and so forth. And then when it comes down to it, you get videos from Syria, Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, everywhere else where that there isn't a United States country or border. You know what I'm saying? So it just kind of baffles me a little bit.
It does me too. It seems like the United States is pretty much anywhere where there was anything that happened, whether it's on U.S. soil, Canadian soil, doesn't matter where it is. We overstep our bounds, I think, a little bit, probably quite a bit, when going to, just like you stated, your guys went up there to go get this. By the time they got there, they were already packing everything up to leave. And that's things that we need to know. And unfortunately, not a lot of other countries are going to be too hip to the idea to find out that the United States has been going into their territories and taking stuff out without anybody else's knowledge or trying to get away with it. And that's one of the reasons why we're talking like this. The reason why we're having these conversations is because of so much smoke and mirrors that the United States government and our Department of Defense have done when trying to cover this up.
Grant Baker, another information-packed UFO report. We greatly appreciate your love, buddy. Thank you for making us a little bit smarter tonight as we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thaw. Rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, Elga, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X, hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright Spaced Out Radio at Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friend,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good job, Grant Baker.
Same to you, my friend. Tonight
You're
was
always
fun.
looking good when you do it.
It's a lot of makeup. Lots of makeup. I got about 30 seconds before my Wi-Fi shuts down. So love you guys. Thank you for joining us. And Dave, I'll be listening to you on WABC.
Thank you, buddy. Love you, man.
Love you, brother. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.
Be right with you guys. That done over here, and let's go here like that. Click that one, and thank you to T-Bone with a hat trick tonight, Candace and Danielle for the wonderful super chats. Let's see here. We gotta go like this. Tomorrow night on the show, Matt Lay will join us. Integrity in paranormal research will be the topic. Yeah, you guys have heard Matt before. You may not remember his name, but you probably remember his gorgeous beard. Okay, so make sure you check that on out as we roll into another paranormal night tomorrow night on the show. We really mixed it up this week. It's been a good week. You know, it's refreshing not to have UFOs all the time. We talk a lot of UFOs around here, if you haven't noticed, which I'm sure you have. And that's just the way it is. So thank you, everybody. We'll see you over on WABC. And over here, we'll see you tomorrow night. Much love. Take care.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.